The biggest challenge for me was that as a 5-year-old when I realized I was born in the wrong family. At five, like you're awake, and in a moment, an event that happened in the house, I realized like when my thought, I'm like, I don't belong here. This is a terrible mistake that happened. I don't know who these people are. They're not my people. They don't like me. I don't fit in here. I don't belong here. I was going to raise myself somehow. And part of what happened to me is out of trying to understand.
Hi, Andre. Welcome to the show.
Mark, good morning. Great to be here.
Good to have you here. I've been waiting to talk to you. Welcome to Peak Performance Perspective, where we help entrepreneurs master health, wealth, and relationships. I have to start out by asking, what does peak performance mean to you?
Ooh, story of my life. Resilience. Resilience.
What is resilience?
Resilience is, it doesn't matter how difficult it is. It doesn't matter if I feel like it or not. It doesn't matter if it's like the right whatever in my head. It's go do it. Go do it. Don't stop. Resilience. Like just, I survived my childhood with resilience, and I carry that through my entire life and business. There's no, the good thing, the interesting thing in life, it's not easy. We encounter a lot of difficulties. It's what you do with that. Do you know what I mean? You could collapse to be a victim, or you can pick yourself up and keep moving. And that's resilience. That's resilience to me. It's just you don't get to stop. You don't get to play victim. You don't get to live small. You learn every time you fall, you learn, right? A little bit better, a little bit more aware. Brush yourself off. Next, keep going. That's the story of my life, really.
In your current life now, you're a relationship coach, and
Yes.
you alluded to the fact that your childhood, you had to survive your childhood, which means for most people, the childhood was tough. How has that shaped your outlook on life and relationships today?
The biggest challenge for me was that as a 5-year-old when I realized this is crazy. And again, it was like mind boggling. At 5 years old, I realized I was born in the wrong family. Explain that to me. Like when my thoughts and my feelings came together, right? Because before five, your feelings, but he can't. But at five, like you're awake, and in a moment, an event that happened in the house, I realized like when my thought, I'm like, I don't belong here. This is a terrible mistake that happened. I don't know who these people are. They're not my people. They don't like me. I don't fit in here. I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I don't belong here. Like crazy shit, right? 5 years old. And what happened is in that, it was terrifying and mind boggling, and realized I was pretty much on my own from that moment on. I was going to raise myself somehow. And part of what happened to me is out of trying to understand, my energy, my radar, my attention became outward directed. Like I turned my radar this way instead of this way. And I started watching the world, trying to understand how the hell is this possible, right? And then understanding life. So I was the kid in the corner, always watching. I was watching people. I was always watching people. And it's interesting because when you do this, it's just a skill, just like anything else. The more you do it, as I started picking up people's essence and energy. They don't have to say anything. I could just focus on them and feel who they are, what they feel. Kind of crazy. A little woo-woo, but we all have that ability. With all this, I became fascinated with the human condition. Like, how does somebody get to be like this? And this guy's like this girl's like how do you get to turn out so differently? How does that work? My childhood was like confusing and baffled. I'm trying to figure out who I am. I'll never forget in high school, there was a 15-year-old guy in my class, thin, straight black hair, and he would sit in the front of the class. He was quiet, he was stoic, which women find it intriguing. And he would do these things. It's crazy. 15 years old. I still don't get it today. He would his hair was kind of like shaggy long in the front. And he would just throw his hair back in front of the class, sitting up front. And the chicks would faint. And this guy has a natural swag. He just is somehow confident and swag in this freaking hair, the way he just. And I'm thinking, how does that work? He's 15 years old. He doesn't know anything. I don't know anything, but this is crazy. He has this thing. And then this one's a geek, and this one's like a math head. You know what I mean? All he can think is math, and it's a dork, but smart as hell. And this chick is, anyway, so that was my kind of focus all the time. I've watched people since the age of 5 and became fascinated with the human condition. Again, trying to explain my own condition.
You were 5. What was happening in life right then that you realized I'm born in the wrong family?
I was born with it, and I realized at 5 that I understood it. And when I decoded this thing, it's a silly story, but it's just through it how my mother, my family's Catholic, and they don't believe in birth control, right? So they basically have babies on a cycle, like they have babies on a cycle as planned. So my parents had planned a kid every 3 years. There's 5 of us. They wanted 6, they stopped at 5, whatever. My first brother, 3 years later, my second brother, 3 years later, my sister, 2 years later, me. I was out of cycle. I was out of place. I don't know if they got drunk one night, had a party, and then boom, here I was. And part of my mother's story is she was sick for the 9 months she was pregnant. She was basically almost invalid, right? Like she couldn't do anything. She was sick for 9 months. So pregnancy was a kick in the head for her, right? So that's why she probably planned it so she could be ready for that. I come in sideways, right? I don't belong here. I'm not supposed to be here. She's thinking and feeling the same thing, right? And I felt it. I picked it up. This is wrong. This is wrong. He's not supposed to be here. He's not supposed to be here. So I'm not supposed to be here. And then when I was born, that continued, right? Just I was the one to just like whatever. So again, it took till 5 to really understand it from the way my family treated me. My little brother, everybody loves so much, and I'm sitting next to him and I'm invisible. It's wild. It's completely wild. And so that's how the thing started, like the confusion and paying attention. Okay, I get the story. She did it on purpose, but I was born with that in my heart. I was born with a hole in my heart. I'm not supposed to be here. She doesn't love me. Wow. Right. Yeesh.
That I wasn't wanted. I am not loved. How did it affect your personal relationships throughout your life? Personal romantic relationships.
That's just interesting because of all this, I actually didn't think I was going to be here long. I didn't think I was going to be here long. I'm a mistake. I'm a mistake. I don't belong here. What's the point? Suicidal ideology, especially as a teen. And every time I thought about it, there was a tug in my heart. There was a tug in my heart. And I called it like a God whisper. I didn't believe in that, but I felt it. It was this like tug, a pull on my heart saying, no, you're not leaving. You're here for a reason. It's huge. Okay. Like this is little, like this pull at my heart. Nope. You're sticking around. No. So another day, another week, another month, another way to. So again, I was the isolated I always had one friend, but I wasn't popular in any way. It was an odd one, the quiet one. So that's what kept me going. And what happened is at the age of 15, almost 16, my dad provided for us very well financially, but I went to a private high school that turned into 2 years of college. This is the way they do it in Canada. So I come in the senior year in this new place I'm finishing high school into college, 3-year program. And just like college, you pick your classes the week prior, right? You pick the classes you're going to take at the credits. And unlike high school, this was very forward. And because it's a fancy private school, the PE program was very extensive. Anyway, long story short, as I'm in getting my classes, signed up for my classes the week prior we started, this young girl that I knew, I recognized her from school. I didn't think she knew I was alive, right? Just like as I'm the invisible guy in the corner. So she comes up to me, this cute little thing, this big, comes up to me as we sign up for a class. She goes, "Oh my God." She goes, part of the PE program is this ballroom lessons available, where you have to sign as a couple. I was just there. They won't let me sign up without a partner. Do you want to dance with me? I'm like, what? Cute little thing. I'm invisible. And my first thought was like this, I'm going to hold it in my arms. Yeah. So like this was a pivotal moment in my life. Like that moment changed the course of my life forever. I have 3 of them. So I say yes. A week later, we're in class and I'm holding it in my arms. I'll never forget the teachers on my right, William the Cha. Never took a dance class in my life. I'm 16 years old. And this was the surprise of my life, number one, that everything that he did, I could just do it. I could copy it immediately. I had it. It's almost like you were just reminding me. Okay, that's weird. You know what I mean? But with that, I went from invisible and in 4 months, class star. I became the teacher's assistant because he was a male, and the guys really struggle with this much more. Like dancing for guys is different. We use our brains, and the women use their feelings. So they listen to the music, they flow with it. Anyway, so in 4 months, I became like I'm the teacher's assistant and dancing with all the girls because the guys don't get it. Now I'm visible like level 12, and we start performing in school. We start performing outside of school. So what happened to me in that moment is I say like this often, but I think it's the first time that my heart smiled. And if you understand the vibrations of music and your body kind of lining up with it, but these two different sort of energies, if you want, come together, music and body movement, and it lifts your spirit, right? Singers are very aware of this. Singers, sometimes they hit a note, they start crying, right? This kind of a vibration that's even almost godly. It's like this so beautiful and perfect. Dancing, I remember I lifted my spirit, like this sad kid that I was. Like I took a breath, like, oh, this feels good. Oh, wow, this is interesting. So I want more of that, and I want more of that. And literally, that's how I started my professional dancing career that way, because that's all I wanted to do, because that's the only thing that made me want to live. Honestly, it saved my life in the end. And because what happened is that lifting of my spirits and the vibration, and understand the better I got, and the more physical it is. So more dopamine, more endorphins, soothes the nervous system, clears the brain, right? And dopamine makes you feel alive and excited. And I went from a sad kid to somebody who's like, my life, it's not so bad. This is okay, to maybe my life could be actually good. And as I got better and better, literally, my brain got healed through my body by dancing with the chemistry created in that. And literally, I healed myself literally from all these injuries. Interesting. Huh? Interesting. So that's what happened. The my relationship with women, again, because I could dance, right? All I had to do is dance. And I got all the attention, all the loving, I wasn't necessarily, I had a good physique. I always had a good physique, but I wasn't necessarily confident, but I was confident on the dance floor. I was confident anywhere I could move. And the women just came. So that's, again, that part of me was healed on some level with the attention that I got just being me in that space, that energy. Interesting. It's very interesting.
When you're young, you're feeling like a sad kid, you're feeling unwanted, you're feeling like you shouldn't be here. From there, you transport into a universe where you find love, comfort, and find yourself in the way in the company of women and music and dancing. Today, you're a relationship coach, but one of your fundamental cornerstones upon which program is built is that men and women aren't equal. What does that mean?
And this is something, this is not a hobby, right? This is my career. This is my life. This is my job. This is how I pay the mortgage and the cars, right? This is not cute for me. This is how I live. And the past 10 years, what used to come at me with men and women and relationship trouble is completely different than it is now. So 10 years ago, up to about 10 years ago, a little bit less, it was always she's crazy. She takes everything personally. That's not what I said. She makes some shit up. I just like, what the hell? I'm confused by her emotions and her action and her assuming. And for the ladies, it's always like, he doesn't care, doesn't talk. He gives me the one word answer. Obviously, he's selfish, self-centered, right? That was always the man-woman thing that came at me. Right? Not understanding women, not understanding men. Standard, right? That's a big one. That's a big one because we're completely different. We're not equal in any way. We're not the same. Equal means the same. We're not the same. We're complete polar opposites in every freaking way. But in our culture, and I want to say the bullshit of our culture for the past 40 years that came alive, I want to say about a little bit over less than 10 years ago, is this bullshit started coming in the culture like where men should be more like women to be good men and women should be more like men because we want to be equal. So it started with equal pay and that kind of shit, right? Equal rights. Beautiful. I get that. But now it trans into a belief that we're the same or we should be the same to equalize the playing field, right? And make things better because men have always been above women or take advantage of women or the patriarchy. And really, patriarchy is men holding themselves accountable to provide and protect for women and children and everything that needs help. That's the patriarchy. The patriarchy just leads logically into providing, protecting, and building a system that allows everyone to survive. Now, women in that, I can see get pushed around. I get that, and it's been abuse of the system. But in my world, that's not men, that's boys, because there's three types of men in my world. So the one who abuse the system, the one who abuse women, the one who are like toxic that we hear so much, it's not men, it's the boys. And the boys are, we'll talk about it maybe a little bit later, are very specifically different. They're not men. Men provide, protect, cherish, give, support, lead, everything, everyone in their lives, themselves first. Boys take, the narcissist takers, and these are the ones who take for women, take their time, take their money, take their body, take, and it comes from the paradigm of having flipped the script. When a woman is masculine, she'll attract feminine men. It's just nature. Everything is polarized in nature. We used to be the other way around. It worked better. What I see every day is the concept that women think men should be more like girls. Sweet, sensitive, talkative, be vulnerable. Look at your face. Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? That's a girl. And the no normal, self-respecting man will act like this. Not because we're jerks, because it's against our nature. You know what I mean? It's try to imagine telling women to stop talking, to man up, to be more logical, to stop getting so emotional about shit that makes no sense, right? Like they would freak out, right? But they have no problem telling men that they need to act like women, right? So that's where the disconnect is. And then on the other side, we raise women now. We used to raise boys like this. What do you want to be when you grow up? You know what I mean? How are you going to affect the world, right? We used to raise boys, ask boys like, you can do for a living or what are you going to do when you grow up? Now we ask little girls, right? So women are raised to be strong, independent, and powerful, which is fine, but it goes too far because strong and powerful is all masculine. So we feminize the men, shame them out of being masculine. We masculinize the women. So basically just flip the script, right? The idea is to equalize, but we flipped. Now we have masculine women who are just very irritating to masculine men. I'm just saying. Only attract feminine men because masculine men are so irritated by them, they don't even acknowledge you. Ladies, if you find yourself always attracting guys who are losers because you're only masculine and you attract the feminine guys who are losers. They're soft. They don't lean in. They don't make plans. They don't want to take care of you. They don't want to pay for you. They don't want you babies. They don't want to marry you. They just want to play. Those are boys. It's all about them, right? When you're in that masculine energy, again, this is just nature. It's not my opinion. This is what I see every day. It's always the same. 50-50 doesn't work. We're not the same. Actually, what we need to do is embrace our differences so we actually can come together. That's the magic of life in nature. I tell people we're as equal as our genitals. You see it? Like completely opposite, but made to fit together perfectly. That's men and women in every aspect of our being. Character-wise, temperament-wise, we're made in opposition to complement each other, to fit. 50-50 equality sounds good on paper. It should work. By the way, it works for money and business and money and career. In the realm of relationships, this is my domain. It is the kiss of death. And you can see it out there everywhere. Everyone's confused. Everyone's mixed up. Nobody knows what's going on. In a time where we have all the choices and all the freedom, it should work. It doesn't work. It's the worst thing in the world. Just before somebody says it or thinks it, right? Often I get pushed back with, oh, should we get it back to the 50s now? Right? I'm like, that's not what I said. That's what I'm talking about, right? But there's a modern way to do relationships in a more traditional way. There's a traditional way in a modern sense to do relationships that are fulfilling, exciting, long-lasting. I have one, and I teach my clients this, and it works. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I'm also an ordained minister. So some of my clients, I married them myself. I did 2 weddings last summer. I flew to Vegas and I flew to Texas to marry couples that I've been working with. So it's now I'm showing off, but it's the proof in the pudding, right? This stuff works, and so just had to squeeze that in.
So if I'm listening to this podcast and I'm wondering, am I married to a boy or am I married to a man?
Yeah.
If I'm listening to the podcast and I'm wondering, am I a boy or am I a man? What are some traits that separates one from another?
Right. So again, there's 3 types of men. There's actually 4, but the 4th one's a bonus. And there's 3 types of women. There's also 4, but it's another bonus, right? But in my world, I decoded this. There's boys, there's guys, there are men and gentlemen. A man doesn't mean necessarily a gentleman, but this is an add-on. It's like second, a trait of awareness that everybody has, right? On the other side is I call it a chick, a girl, a woman, that actually called a grounded woman, because to be grounded woman is when women are, what's the word, are confident with boundaries and know who they are, right? They're not affected emotionally as much. Grounded woman is stable in every way, and it's also settled in her feminine. And on top of her, a lady. Not every woman is a lady. Not every gentleman, not every man is a gentleman. But so that's the bonus on top. But the 3 drivers, boys, guys, and men, is boys are narcissistic. Boys are raised typically without fathers. Boys are raised by a single mom often. So they were raised to be feminine. They were raised like women raise women, right? To be sweet, to be sensitive, to be loving, to be caring, to be talkative. They talk about their feelings all the time. And a woman, we know this naturally, organically, runs her life through her feelings. That's the feminine. That's beautiful, right? The masculine, natural masculine, we run our lives through our logic, to our brains, right? Doesn't matter how it feels, do it anyway. Doesn't matter if I feel like getting up, I got to go to work, right? So we drive through our logic, they drive through their feelings, but boys have been raised, no daddy typically, or soft daddy or feminine dad, a boy dad, to be passive, to talk like girls, to run their lives through their feelings like women. And in that, everybody step up. And by the age of 13, this is fantastically interesting with the psychology. By the age of 15, if a boy doesn't have a good role modeling to become a man, to step into his power, to conquer himself and his fears and make something of himself, if he's too cuddle, too protected by mom, by 13 forward, he believes that women are here to serve. This natural male, provide, protect, cherish, lead, guide everything in their lives, and the women in their lives and the children in their lives. That's what the masculine does: provide, protect, cherish. These guys just are living through their feelings. They don't want to provide and protect. They want to be comfortable. They want to be, they're emotional, right? They're often, the boys are unstable like women as far as like feelings and emotions throughout the day. They're unstable emotionally. They're unstable financially. They're the ones who lose their shit. They're the ones who are toxic. These are the ones who rape, kill, murdered, scam. Not man, boys. Now, again, the 3 look exactly the same, but they behave completely differently. And it's one of the first things I do with my clients. For the ladies, like I teach them how to identify the boys, because these are the ones who mess your life up every time, because it's all about them. As much as I said, men are provider protectors of everything and everyone that needs protection and provide provision. Boys are takers. They will con everything. They take, because that's their mojo. That's how they get ahead. Boys are to be avoided at all costs. The second type is, so guys are everywhere in our culture now, because as we shame men out of being masculine, right? And the ones who aren't boys, that are still masculine, typically end up living more like men. So they have jobs, they have apartments, right? They have cars, but it's all rather small, right? They don't live large, right? They have 3 roommates, they have a little piece of crap car, blah, 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 blah. But they at least don't live in mom's basement. They don't play video games all day long, and they're not trying to just cruise through life. You know what I mean? So boys take responsibility, act like men, but usually they live smaller. And when it comes to women, they acquiesce. They were taught not to lean in. They were taught not to lead. They were taught not to be masculine, especially with ladies. So they do stuff like ask women when they date them. So like, where do you want to go for dinner? And what movie do you want to go see? And do I see you this weekend or are you busy? So they completely they put all the leading on ladies because they don't want to be toxic, right? They were taught not to lean in because it's rude. But women hate it. They absolutely hate it, right? If you want to
Women
go,
hate it when they're asked where they want to go eat or
they
what
hate
movie they
it.
want to
They
watch.
hate it. They hate it. They hate it. They hate it. I can tell you, like they literally have visceral reaction because you're putting them in the leadership. There's a bunch of stories about this. I had a client, hysterical, right? He didn't know any of this, which is the beginning of understanding this whole dance. And he's a nice guy, nice guy. So he's asking his girlfriend one night. He goes on Saturday night, that's the date night. And he goes, where do you want to go eat? Okay, it's a fair question, but that means she gets to pick. She's in charge and she's the man in that moment, right? Again,
Isn't she?
what happens? I'll tell you what happens. This is why it doesn't work, right? So sure enough, it's a question. Like I say, if you start dating a girl, right, you're going to ask the question of what she likes, what she doesn't like, what she likes, right? That kind of stuff. But it's different than putting her in charge of it. So anyway, so what happened is he says, where do you want to go eat? Do you have any idea? She goes, I want to try this new restaurant. So she picked the restaurant. Okay, in itself, nothing wrong with that. But guess what happened? They get to the restaurant. He's a fit guy like me and you. And he says, well, we sit down at the restaurant. He goes, everything in that restaurant is covered in cheese. Everything's covered in cheese. He says, I can't eat that stuff. He goes, oh, what do you mean? It's just one. He goes, I can't eat that stuff. I don't want to eat any of that stuff. And so she said, well, why? I don't want to eat this. He goes, that's cool. Let's order your food, but I'm not eating this stuff. And she got dark. And he had no idea what happened, right? He goes, so the evening, she literally energetically pushed back completely. She stopped looking at him. She stopped talking to him. Like she's mad at him. He doesn't know why. They get in the car. She's not looking at him. She's looking out the window. He drops her off. He's completely baffled. He said nothing. He did nothing, right? They sat at a restaurant. And so he calls me. He goes, what the hell was that? I'm like, dumbass, you let her pick the restaurant. And there's nothing wrong if the restaurant is fine and you like it. But if you don't like it, she now displeased you. And that the feminine naturally wants to please and be pleasant to everybody because they believe, again, it's a cave woman left over instinctively that if she's not pleasing and pleasant, then he's not going to protect her if anything happens. So it freaks women out when we're displeased by their choices. So I say you could ask her what she wants, right? But ask her beforehand, and then you make the plan around what she wants. Because if she's in charge of the restaurant, you don't like it, ruin the evening. If you go to a movie, you have nothing to do with the fucking movie, excuse my French, right? But you go to a movie and you come out, it's like a chick flick and it's really sucked, and you tell her that, she'd be furious at you because she, by her choice, is displeased you. And instinctively for women, it's like kicking her in the face. That doesn't work. I say to men, if you ask, go, what do you want to be? You're a fucking noodle. She hates you because you're forcing her to masculine. So I say to them, dude, if you want a girl on your arm, make the damn plan and then offer this. Are you ready? This is beautiful. It's so simple. I'll tell you with my wife. I go, okay, babe, Saturday night, 6:30 in the car. That's departure time. 6:30 in the car, right? We're going Italian or whatever I made the reservation for if it needs that. I tell her the plan. 6:30 Italian, bring your salsa shoes because we were dancing afterwards. I made a plan. I'm not asking her, right? I made the plan. Now, obviously not to be toxic, because this is why the guys do it, right? They don't want to lean on her, but she loves to be led that way. She loves the fact that you took the time to make the plan. It's flattering to a woman, and it's not on her. You see what I'm saying? So 6:30 Italian, salsa shoes, dancing afterwards. Here's the magic trick. This is how you get to be a gentleman. How do you feel about my plan? And that
I don't like it. I don't like it.
She says, I don't like it, then you have a problem. Then you have a problem
then?
because that's not a chick. That's a man. That's a man in a woman's body. If a woman's not going to follow you,
then we are just asking the question for the sake of asking the question. We're pretending that we're getting the woman's opinion. But if she actually has an opinion, then she's a dude.
No. As if the woman's going to dismantle your plan, she's an masculine. So she's going to lead this thing, right? So
what's the point of asking the question?
The point is, if she's really feminine, like I said, most women just find that very flattering for you to make the plan. So you make the plan, and when you say, how do you feel about my plan? Then she can adjust it for her comfort, because if she's comfortable, she'll be lovely all night long. right? So my wife will say stuff like, I don't want to be like home too late because I want to take ballet class in the morning. Got it, right? She doesn't undo my plan, right? She's actually, because most women don't care, honestly. You have to just make sure what they don't want. Like my mother's allergic to shellfish, right? Or fish. So you can't take my mother to a seafood restaurant. It's ridiculous, right? That'll kill her. But that information has to come forward. So in the dating and the getting to know, you find out what they like, what they don't like, what they like to be, what they want to do, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you don't put it on them because it'll backfire. You put her in a masculine. You're making a leader. And if she dismantles your plan, she wants to lead, then you have not a feminine woman on your hands. It's going to be the rest of your life. She's going to try to drive you. She's going to try to mother you. I'm just saying this temperamentally that happens energetically. What I'm saying to you is when the guys are shamed out of being masculine and they, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Women hate it. They absolutely hate it. Absolutely hate it. They want not the responsibility. And women will say, I don't even give a crap which restaurant it takes me to. I just want to not think about it.
There is something to be said about a man who can never make a decision. I do agree with that. You and I both know men who can just never make a decision. I do agree that might be very frustrating in a relationship. But let's go through some quick rapid fire so that I understand where your position is.
Yes, sir.
I'm renting a house. Who decide what house it is? Is it a man or a woman?
Who's paying?
They both have jobs, but she can't have a job because that's masculine. So it's the guy that decides.
It's a team effort, right? So it's very different. And again, what's culture is happening now is people are shacking up left and right. My niece just did it. Like she met a guy, they're 3 months together, they're moving in together because it's economically easier. That's a stupid reason to move in together. Do you know what I mean? Because it becomes a 50-50 dance, right? They pay half the bills, they pay half the rent, they pay half the stuff. That's man on man, by the way. Do you know what I mean? And in the end, they're playing house. And women don't understand this in our culture. If you play house with a man, the chances of you getting married are very low.
I agree with that as well. There are things that you're saying that I do agree with, but I'm getting so utterly confused about some other things. It's almost like you're saying that women shouldn't be allowed to make any decisions. Like we can't even consult them on what they want to. What about groceries? Do I write down like a grocery list? Because what if she picks stuff like all cheese-based food and I don't like that? Should I also spell out the grocery list?
No, like I said, there's obviously a dance, a yin yang.
Just one step away from restaurant, right? It's almost if an entire 35 years of marriage, 40 years of marriage, the woman never has a choice of wanting to be able to eat a certain type of food at a restaurant and call what kind of movie. Like if I can't sit through a chick flick because I hate it, she has to spend her entire life watching action movies. She can't say anything about it.
I hear what you say. I hear you say.
I'm getting confused. Help me.
Because you're going too far the other way. I'm not, because I make it sound maybe that it's black or white, right?
Yeah, that's what it's
her way or his way.
Yeah.
What's happening is we live in a culture where men are been shamed of doing the masculine stuff, right? And they keep acquiescing to the feminine, and the feminine, I'm telling you, hate it. They don't feel safe with that. They can respect him. They can respect the fact that he's not leading, right? He feels weak to her. He feels passive. They hate it. And what they're looking for is a man who's going to take charge. So I'm saying that idea of acquiescing to the feminine is not working for anybody. This is my work.
That's a really big generalization. A few minutes ago, we were talking about there are 4 types of men. We're talking about boys, guys, men, and gentlemen.
Yep.
Let's say gentlemen. Let me ask you this question straight up.
Yep.
Are you a gentleman? Do you consider yourself to be a gentleman? Don't be humble.
Yeah. For me,
Andre, gentleman. I think you're a gentleman, right? But I know you. I have done a pre-interview with you. I've spoken to you before. I know you're a deep guy with a lot of emotions. Yes. And you're talking a lot. So does that not make you a gentleman now because you have emotions and you like to talk because those are feminine traits? That's why I'm so confused.
I got it. And I'll get you there. This is good because we both have masculine and feminine within us, both men and women. And what I'm saying is what works best, I'm teaching, it's not my opinion, it's the data, the research, 50 years of other masters doing this stuff, where we concluded with the relationships that work, whether, by the way, it's gender irrelevant. It's not just straight couples, it's gay couples, it has been a couple. The couples who make it for 35 plus years, like a healthy relationship long term, all do the same thing. Are you ready? Nature, polarized, masculine, feminine, yang, black, white, up, down. There's a polarity to relationships. They're the last thing, regardless of gender. You have 2 couples here that I know in Los Angeles, 2 guys, 2 couple men, gay men, they've been together 30 years. And when you look at them temperamentally, one naturally leads more, the one supports the lead. The second one does not want to lead, is happy to support the leadership. That's a yin-yang, that's polarity. And that's what everything that succeeds, that grows, even in business, this is the magic, right? There's another couple of guys that I know, they're not together, they're business partners, right? They're 2 straight guys, but they have a speaking business. You're familiar with that stuff? We're all with that stuff, right? One guy is the alpha-ish or the extrovert. So he's the guy on stage. He's the guy with the microphone. He's the guy who's talking to everybody. He's the guy opening all the doors. He's the guy in everybody's face, right? He's the one that actively makes everything happen. He's extroverted. His partner, business partner, is introverted. And so he's the guy in the office. He's the guy doing the research. He's the guy setting up the plans. He's the guy doing the logistic part of things. So extrovert, introvert, right? Leaning out, leaning in, together, beautiful combination. Because if, like, in this guy in the office wants nothing to do with getting on the mic, nothing, he doesn't want to talk to people. He's introverted. That stresses him out. He loves it. So relationships that work have a yin yang, is what I'm saying. Again, we both have masculine and feminine inside of us. Is how do you create a balance that you actually come together in creating? Because there's stuff that I do that is more feminine that I take on in the house, and there's stuff that my wife will take on that we agree to that are more considered masculine, but it's the blend and the negotiation of what works for us. What I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do, what she's willing to do, and what she's not willing to do, what I want to take accountability for, and stuff that I don't really want that. Do you want to take it? Okay, I'll take it, right? It's the negotiation. It's the blending
and I agree
together.
with that.
So
Like,
that's
the
what
reason
I'm
I'm so confused, right? There are
Right.
things you say. I do believe that a good relationship is a left shoe, right shoe thing. I
Yep.
do believe that if there are two leaders pulling in two different directions, we're not moving anywhere. I
They're
100%
fighting.
right? Exactly. We're fighting each other all the time, right? I also agree with what you say is like exactly how you defined in your relationship. It's the same in my relationships, is that there's a conversation and there's an understanding of, yeah, this is what I don't like to do. Do you want to do it? This is what you don't like to do. Do I do it? Yeah, this you want me to do, but I don't want to do that, right? It's just understanding each other and working together.
It's a negotiation.
It's a much more cohesive, beautiful way to coexist as demonstrated by your marriage. But then when you come out and start putting broad strokes, like a woman should never be able to pick a restaurant.
I never said that. I never said that. I never said that. I says I never said that. No, you're gonna ask. I know what I said. I know the story. I use it all the time. And I said you can if you want, but if you're displeased with it, you're gonna ruin the evening, and you won't know why. So you're better off finding out up front.
Being a man, that you just don't go through life being pleased all the time. Like they're upset.
Of course, but again, all I'm telling you is if she's not happy with her choice because it didn't work for you, she's gonna take it personally. And we don't, you don't, but she will.
But let me ask you this question. In your relationships, in your personal relationship, I find it absolutely hard to believe that your lovely wife has made every correct decision all the time. Has to have had been a time when she did something or picked something or made a decision and you weren't happy. Or did that ruin the relationship?
No, but again, we understand, we know how to communicate. We know how to conflict resolution. We know how to do this because we both have each other's back in the end, right? And this is actually the couples who succeed all have that mindset, right? They're not trying to get on top of each other. They're not trying to win. They want each other to win. I have her best interest in mind. I have her back and she has my back. So when we collide, it's a problem. Okay, so we don't fight. We don't scream, we don't yell, we don't let anything get crazy because this is when you end up saying stuff that you can't take back. Fuck you. People do this all the time, right in front of me. Fuck, I'm like, you can't fucking say that. This is your girlfriend. This is your wife. Dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? But they do it, right? Because they get emotional and everybody gets, so if you're going to fight like animals, like this is how you destroy everything. So the better way is, okay, we're getting heated. Something is just happened. Something is pissing me off. Something is pissing me, whatever. Take our corners. Go for a walk. Go to Home Depot if you're a dude. Go take a bath if you're a chick. Just get away from each other. There's no need to fight. When you're heated, everything goes to hell because it gets elevated. Take your corners and then you come back and you go, okay, what happened? How do we get there? When you said that, it made me feel like this. It really upset me. And is that what you meant? Is that what you meant to do? Is that what you say? What? When you did this, when you said this, what happened to me, it upset me because blah, blah, blah.
No, I'm really glad we're talking about this because what you just defined right now is communication, right? What you just defined right now is the core crux of a relationship, right? Which is exactly how it's supposed to be. And like you're saying, when this couple comes back from a walk, they're talking to each other and to understand how each other feels, right? But if someone listening to this podcast didn't see this version of Andre and explaining this, and they just heard the first 10 minutes, they would be like, Andre just told me that as a guy, as a gentleman, I shouldn't be emoting, I shouldn't be talking, I should be making this, and then just stopped up, and they now go in a completely different direction.
Interesting. So, well, that's not what I meant. If that's what came across, again, there's a yin yang, there's a balance. What I'm saying saying is there's a masculine way, there's a feminine way, right? In relationship, you want to find a sweet spot because there's his way that she doesn't understand and it's her way he doesn't understand. But again, I want to calibrate maybe what I'm saying here. I'm showing you how complete opposite we are, how radically opposite we are. And because we think we should be the same or we don't realize how opposite we are, we end up trying to make the other one act like us, feel like us, think like us. And that's when it goes to hell. So there's a righteousness sometimes about being human that says, whatever he does, I don't like it, doesn't feel right, so he's wrong. No, go find out the catalyst. Go find out why he's saying this and tell him how it makes you feel so he can, adjust. Because a man who loves you will adjust beautifully when he knows why and understands the reason. But if you're going to go, I'm sick of your shit, now you're attacking him, he's going to fight back because men are warrior at hearts, right? So this is what doesn't work, is what I'm saying. So it's his way, it's her way, it is a sweet spot. When it comes to, again, what the women are saying to me all day long is men are passive. They don't make plans. They put everything back on us. I've been working all week. I pay my own bills. I just want to relax. But then he wants me to pick the restaurant. He wants me to pick the movie. He wants me to pick the time. I don't want to do this. They hate it. And part of being gentlemanly is to make a plan and go, how do you feel about it? And then adjust it because he could adjust it. He wants her to be happy and pleased. But if you put it on her, I'm telling you, it's shit show after shit show. I have a collection of stories like this. In the name of being polite, women feel not taken care of, not cherished, because it's again all on her. And women don't, especially if you're trying to be feminine and relaxed, they don't want to be in charge. And like I said, if the restaurant's wrong or the movie's wrong, it's just what I'm saying.
100%.
So that's what I'm saying originally. That's what I'm saying originally. It's not like you never asked anything.
I'm glad we clarified that. Yeah, I'm glad we clarified that because I agree with 100%. There are men who I know in my personal life who are absolutely incapable of making any decision. And like you described, there are women who absolutely have to do everything. They're making the money.
That's terrible.
The kids, they're taking leadership on everything.
Yep.
On the other side, there are also men who are married to women who don't want to do anything. They are doing the jobs and they're doing the cooking and they're doing the children.
The man, you mean?
Yeah. It's just on both sides. Let me ask you this question. If I am stuck in a marriage, if I am a woman listening to this and I'm stuck in a marriage where I'm married to a feminine man, right? I'm married to a grown-up
boy,
baby.
Probably
right?
a boy is in the middle. Boy is actually, he works and he's in the middle, but he tends to let her, she's been, anyway. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm married to a boy and I don't feel well taken care of. I feel all the stress, all the anxieties of the world. I can't talk about it because when I talk about it, it gets thrown in my face. What do I do?
That's a boy. That's a boy. That's a problem because, okay, we talked about like communication, coming in between, having each other's back, right? Boys are narcissists. The women are here to serve them in their minds, one way or the other, in every way. They want to be comfortable. They want to be feminine comfortable, and they love for her to man up and work 2 jobs. And so as narcissists, it's all about them, right? Which means, unlike men and guys, because guys are men, right? They're just softer. If I teach what I call Manglish to the ladies, because masculine men are amazing because they're the ones who do everything right, provide, protect, cherish, conquer themselves. They're relevant in the world. They have character. They have confidence, all the stuff that women find sexy. There's also the men who want to be married, have children, build a kingdom, and put their arms around it, right? Masculine men control everything in their lives. And as the more they take on, they control everything in their lives, right? The kingdom, he's looking for his queen, but the queen doesn't get to drive him, right? The queen is his partner, right? In the partnership of, anyway, a man wants his woman to be happy. She wants to be good because when she's happy, he's happy. When she's good, he's good. It's ultimately why men take care of women because we take the load off of them for them to be able to be more in a relaxed mode, at peace, comfortable, happy, right? Relaxed. Because a stressed out woman, you don't even want to sit at a table with, right? Just because we pick that up. So all we want to do is provide, protect, so they relax. And when they're relaxed and they're feminine, it lifts our spirit. And now we're happy that we did the work. So men want women to be happy and will adjust for it when you understand how to do it with the masculine ones, because they're a little tougher, because they're a little more heady, a lot more heady, and controlling, and opinionated, and loud, and pushy, and so all this stuff. But these are still the guys who do everything right. So how do you negotiate with him is the magic. Again, his way, right? Narcissists, boys and men and women, don't negotiate, don't want to negotiate, and will make you wrong for everything you try to ask for an adjustment. So if you say, like, when you did this, made me feel like this, I didn't like it, you know what I mean? Is that what you meant? Or could you please take a look at this? And a natural male or male or female, that's respectful with the approach, and they go, oh, what? When you did this, is that, oh, no, that was, right? Now you get an explanation or an apology, because we screw up all the time on both sides, right? And it's clean. If you ask a boy or a narcissist woman, or narcissist boys are narcissistic, for adjustment, they will actually turn it on you and shame you for it. You're too sensitive. That's not what I said. It's your problem. I don't have to deal with this crap. It's you. It's you. So they literally, they fuck with your head and make you question everything. They'll say stuff like, I didn't say this. I never said that. And he just said it. Also, I didn't say this. And you go, what, did he say it? They literally mind screw you.
Gaslighting. Yeah.
Gaslighting. So this is called it like he's a 10 and you're a 0. So if you're married to a 10 who you can't negotiate with, you never will negotiate with, and when you try to, he makes you feel bad and shames you and gaslights you, there's nothing to do with that because you can't negotiate with narcissists, right? You have a problem. You have a big problem. And the typical thing is if you want to be half normal and be a little bit happy, you have to disconnect with that person. Like that, there's no fixing that. You can't fix narcissists. This is their temperament, who they are, right? They were raised to, narcissists are basically a empaths are built by getting their lives, getting kicked in the head your whole life, and then never want anybody to go through the pain they went through. Those are empaths. Narcissists have been kicked in the head through life, except they don't give a crap, and now they want to take it out on the world. Same injuries, two different guys, two different women. So it's an interesting thing psychologically how it happened. The point is they don't recover. A narcissist is the temperament, and I've yet to see one recover because it works for them. It works for them. Everybody's a 0 and they're a 10.
So we talked about boys and almost in some specific cases where you describe they're narcissists and they just want to abuse and they just want to take advantage of you. Almost always, in your opinion, it's unrecoverable. And the best way to do is just disconnect. Let's talk about masculine females, right? Sometimes they don't have a choice.
Right.
They might have, you talked about how you were 5 years old and you already knew that you didn't belong in that family, right? You didn't have control over what family you were brought up, and you don't have control over the experiences that happened. A lot of times, because of a specific family, because of specific experiences, because of specific livelihood, the challenges, a woman has to step up to provide. And that, in theory, would make her quote unquote more masculine. Now I'm 35 years old, I'm 38 years old. I'm a specific type of a person, right? I want to get married. In your definition, they are attracting feminine men, right? They might say, I don't have control over who I am. I can't change 35, 38 years of upbringing of myself.
But you can.
I don't know what to do.
But you can. But you can. That's this. By the way, these are all my clients. These are all my clients. 35 plus, right? Boss babes and entrepreneur making money, beautiful, right? But typically, this is a psychology part of it that's essential. The first thing I do with them, they realize that they're stuck. There's a pattern. Boys, they think it's them. They think something wrong with them. They think that's men. And so when they come to me with the inquiry, I'm like, no, you're attracting boys because you're too masculine. And then we're going to their childhood, right? And again, we all go through this, not men and women. The formative years between 5 and 11 is when we get literally, we make decisions about ourselves, the world, life, and people, right? Mine was I don't belong here. And what I did with this, I continue believing that until I dismantled it. And again, like dancing was a way to, but we live through our subconscious beliefs. Little girls who didn't have fathers to make them feel safe, because they're divorced, or that happens, or the daddy's passive, or daddy's abusive, or daddy's a drunk. For a little girl to grow up to be the balance of masculine and feminine, right? Ultimately, they need to feel safe in the world. Daddy's energy is supposed to like cover the household with safety. Even if he works a lot, he's present. Daddy's and his presence and his leadership allows mom to be in her feminine. Well, mom's in her feminine, she could cherish and nurture the children. She feels safe, right? He's getting the big burden. He's making him feel safe. She could be in her heart and nurture the children. That's the perfect makeup. This is ideally what it should be. But very few of us actually live that life the way it should be. If there's no daddy energy to protect the household, right? And there's no daddy energy to for the boys to role model after what it's like to be a good man, to have integrity, to have accountability, to be able to work in team, to use how they use their energy and their power appropriately, to be devoted in the world as opposed to toxic, right? Men need men, boys need men to teach them that. So if you don't have a role model for the guys, ultimately they end up taking on the women's mom's qualities, too feminine. So that's their injury. For the ladies, not feeling safe because there's no daddy or bad daddy, what happened is, and I have a lot of clients, that dad is soft, dad is passive, dad is more feminine. So what happened is mom has to be the man. Mom makes the money. Mom makes the decision. Mom runs everything. So mom is masculine. She's mama bear. Again, and mama bear is providing, protecting. It's masculine. With that, the girls typically role model after a mom, which is masculine, mama bear. Again, just being in the space. You get it? And what we know for sure psychologically is when a little girl doesn't feel safe, there's no masculine energy around her, and role models of the masculine woman, they actually end up having to man up. right? In order to feel safe in the world, they have to man up. 5 years old, just like me, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, 5 to 11, but it always is closer to 4 or 5 years old, always. They man up and they go into the world going, I have to fight for myself, I have to fend for myself, I have to conquer everything myself, right? It's a masculine thing. It doesn't allow them to slip into their feminine because a normal little girl being safe would be able to go into her feminine and be able to manage. Obviously, they have to be capable, they have to work, they have to go to school, right? So there's a masculine paradigm to their lives, but their femininity still gets developed where what I call a balanced, grounded woman. She's grounded in her feminine and is capable in the world, like men are capable, but she mostly lives through her feminine essence in her body. Same with men. So if they have a good role model, they can actually grow into their confidence and learn accountability, honor, discipline, all the stuff that men teach men in order for them to conquer their fears and become capable in the world. But more than that, to be relevant in the world. That's how they build their character and their confidence. And these are the guys that women find sexy. So boys need men to teach them to be man, appropriate man, but also mom who's in her feminine, if dad's present, is the nurturing feminine essence that would say, baby, that's too loud. Baby, no, don't talk to mom like this. Don't do I like to bring the sensitivities that women bring to the masculine. So we need both. But my clients, mostly boys and girls, who are traumatized in childhood. The girls had to man up. It's an instinct, by the way. It's a survival instinct. It's beautiful, except in the end, 20 years later, it's a problem because they don't come off of that just out of habit. It's just becomes who they are. So women who are masculine, we go right to trauma, find out what happened, and now we have a chance to fix it because part of the work that I do is release their trauma. Trauma is not in your brain, it's on your nervous system, it's on every cell of your body, right? Trauma. So I do release trauma to leave that behind. The belief for most women is I'm not worthy and I'm not lovable. Women who've been traumatized, like are masculine, basically will just realize they're on their own in the world. They're not obviously not worthy of love because dad didn't stick around or whatever, or they were abused, neglected, or abandoned. All same injury. Some have all 3+ sexual abuse. Crazy shit, right? So that's how they get to man up because they don't feel safe. They've never felt safe in the world one day in their lives. They're masculine women. So it's a survival, but it doesn't make them happy. At the age of 35, they're tired, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed. They want to relax, they want to pull back. They realize money doesn't make them happy. They want relationships, but because they're stuck in the masculine, they attract boys. So they come to me with, what the hell? I'm pretty, I'm still young, I have money, I have everything, I'm no burden to anybody. They go, it's not your fault, baby, you're just too masculine, right? And it's like I said, we'll go back in the past and we slowly release the thing and then basically nurture them back into their feminine so they can be balanced. Because in my world, the true badass babe is a woman who could be a businesswoman during the day and leave her balls at work and show up as a woman, a feminine essence in the world. That's a badass, right? Again, that's what I'm talking about, like the balance of the masculine and feminine within each one of us. And each one of us have to find that balance, masculine and feminine, in order to be in line with our bodies. So the feminine body more in line with her first and is capable in the world, like a man, because they're very capable, you know this. And masculine man leading, helping, providing, protecting, cherishing women, children, the planet, the world, right? That's what men do instinctively. But the women give us that sensitivity of too much, too big, too controlling. How many times did my wife say to me, babe, you're scaring the children? What do you mean? I'm saying, what do you think? I give a shit? Because that's what testosterone does, right? We're often too big, too loud, too controlling, right? Women who say men are controlling, absolutely. The more masculine he is, the more controlling he is. How do you negotiate with him? How do you bring him down from that, right? It's like there's a language to this that works fantastically when you know it. So these men that are big, that lead, that do everything right, that want wives and families and, hold themselves accountable and take everything on for their wives and family to be comfortable. There's a lot of this great honor in that for us, right? This great satisfaction as well. But because with testosterone, we're often too big. So how do you bring him, babe? Thank you for everything you do. It's a little, right? And there's a way to negotiate, approach him respectfully that he will adjust his behavior. He will adjust to you, to your liking, if you know how to approach him respectfully. And that's with the communication part that I teach on both sides, by the way. But the way you get a man to respond to you is not by digging your heels and screaming, yelling, commanding, demanding, right? Often women will be very patient, and at one point, that's enough. Now she puts her hands on her hips and go, I'm sick of your shit. This needs to stop. That won't work, right? Because now you're leaning on him. So the masculine typically will react to this, right? If you come at a warrior with warrior energy, he's going to push back and you're going to lose, and you're going to think he's a jerk. So we know what doesn't work is being reactive and deciding that you're going to go for him or go for her. It doesn't work. But especially that way, because you trigger a warrior, you're going to have a fight and you're going to lose. Right. So there's a way to do this. There's a way to bring men to the sensitivities with the respectful language and asking, coming from the feminine, not commanding, not demanding, inviting. And instinct in men, our instinct, again, no manipulation needed. Our instincts, we want to provide, we want to protect, we want to cherish, we want to give, we want her to be comfortable and happy. Because when she's comfortable and happy, we can all relax. There's peace in my house. My wife is happy. And in that, she's more nurturing because she feels safe, right? Excuse me. And then naturally, the yin yang of it, the dance of that is keeping us in flow of a healthy dynamic. I could do this all day long. You get it?
I do. So I know you spoke about women 35 plus. Even though you coach both men and women, there's a significantly larger portion of women 35 plus who are masculine, who are successful, and somehow are just continue to attract boys or guys and are wanting men. You talked about how part of your process is to release their trauma. And I know this is a process, so it's a longer thing. But if somebody's listening to this, they just want to know the basics of how they can go about understanding the trauma or even releasing it. What would you recommend they do?
There's one thing that we know you can't do on your own. You can't. You can't do it. You need some help. You need some professional, whether I do NLP, some people do NMDR, right? Therapists don't really do trauma stuff. They just discover it, but they don't help you out of it typically. So that doesn't really work. I'm just saying. They make you talk, you figure out what happened. But my biggest compliment I had from a client, she was in therapy for a few years, and but it didn't change her life. She says, all therapy was good because I discovered why I was the way I was, but there was no out of it. There was no tools out of it. She goes, with you, clean up the stuff even more energetically, right? As opposed to understanding it. It's not visceral. It's not in the head. It's visceral. So we clean it up. And then we step into the life that we want. She goes, so that's a huge difference. I had a client on the chair, like on the couch for 9 years. Nothing ever changed. No tools. Just talking about it. Anyway, so I'm just saying that's the release trauma is essential. What was your question again? Because I went sideways.
If I'm a masculine woman and I'm listening to this and I continue to attract boys, what is something that I can do to, start moving in the right direction? So I become gentlemen.
You need to do your work. You need to do your work. And again, therapy, it's not really going to get you there. I mean, some therapists are good, but as a rule, that's not the model. It's not the business model. So you want to find people who do energy release, trauma release, right? They're everywhere. So that's part of my work. And that's the only way out, because until you actually, because your subconscious is driving your life. If you decided at 5, 6, 7 years old that you're not lovable, you're not worthy of love, and then you're on your own in the world, and you have to man up the rest of your life, that's the rest of your life. So until that belief is put down, because again, the trauma that happens is never, it's a conclusion that we make about ourselves. My mother's treatment of me and the way she felt about me said to me, I don't belong here, and she doesn't love me, and I'm not lovable. Do you know what I mean? Going back as an adult and talking to her about this, because we had many conversations, because she didn't understand. At one point, I disappeared for 6 years. It completely disappeared. Like didn't want anything to do with them. It was too hurtful, right? Like I don't belong here. They don't want me. Okay. But when we adult came back together, and I asked her the question, what happened to me? Do you know what I mean? Even though inside of me, I had this hole that I knew there was something missing. And I thought, did you not hold me when I was a baby? Did you just let me to I don't know what the abandonment was. And there was a huge conversation. I remember thinking, if she laughs in my face, my heart is going to stop. I'm going to drop dead right there. Why? It was a big moment in my life where to ask this anyway. And I remember I couldn't even look at her when I was asking her these questions and telling her what happened to me, when I went through, when I felt I don't belong here, not lovable. She hates me. I couldn't even look at her and just spilled that on her. It took a few minutes. And again, I remember thinking, if she laughs in my face, I'm going to just die right here. I'm just going to die. My heart's going to stop, because I already believe that. So if she confirms it, it'll finish me off. But when I look up, she's completely wet. She's crying. It makes me emotional. But she's crying and crying, because when I understood is the accident, right, that I was not part of the system. She was sick for 9 months. They were building the house that I was raised in at the time. My mother is really hands-on. She likes to lay tiles, and she's actually the kind of woman who would be on the roof with a hammer. She's that like this. Now she's pregnant and puking, and the house not moving because she's incapacitated, right? So all of that was circumstantial. Right. I took it as she hates me, and I realized she didn't do it to me, as what happened. So she's not evil. She's not nasty. Right. So, but my conclusion is what killed me. The conclusion, what hurt me my whole life. This is what we all do. I'm not lovable. I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Right. I'm on my own. You can't trust people. 5 years old in your subconscious, and it becomes your model. So You've heard things like people say, like, you want to use 10% of our brains, right? It's actually 5% because 95% of our lives is driven by the belief system that we have, the first imprint that we carry the rest of our lives until you release it. It's pretty intense and it's pretty dramatic and it's pretty tragic because if you don't do your work to clean that up, you're going to be stuck in the loop. Whether it's attracting boys or never being successful for men, like the message that's driving you, you're oblivious to. If I say, look at your life, is it the way you want it to be? Then what's missing is the part that's driving you. That's the part, that false belief system. And it's crazy because it's so subtle at the same time it's so huge. Right? If you say to so simple stuff like this is how your subconscious and your brain works, like the words that you have in your head and then make the word that come out of your mouth becomes your reality. If I say to you, go to our website, I go, wait, you say, wait, I have to write it down because I won't remember. Your subconscious goes, as you wish. You're right, you're never going to remember. Right? So the same way, like if I'm not lovable, you're going to find ways in the world to prove you're not lovable. If you're not capable, you're going to find ways. So we only prove what we know, what we believe as humans from the age of 5 and 6, as opposed to making real choices. We're just going to prove what that's the human brain. It's tragic. So that's why you have to clean up if you want the life. Does that make sense? Of course it makes sense.
100%. We're constantly looking for data to prove to us we are the way we are and it fits into the worldview that we have.
We want to prove that we're right. We're proving that we're right. But when your life is crooked, doesn't make for a good life.
The irony of all of this is, given the tragic past that you had and the trauma that you went through, in a parallel universe, if you were born as a woman, you would be a masculine.
As hell. I'd be butch. And again, it's not their fault, right? It's not their fault. It's like with all the love in my heart, like I really have a lot of compassion for women stuck in that space, and they're all around us because we raised them to be masculine in a culture and throw some trauma on top of it, right? They get stuck. But in the end, it's funny. It's sad is they really want what most women always want. They want love. They want cherishing. They want to pull back. They want to relax. They want to be cuddle. They want men to provide them to help them. But they're stuck. You know what I mean? And so it's worth doing the work. Like this, like the second half of your life is typically it's interesting. I see this all the time. Like you blow through your trauma in your 20s and 30s to a point, mid 30s, because you lean in to leave all this behind. I'm going to go and make something of my life. So we leave all the trauma behind and push through life with the youth and the energy and the resilience of, and it's incredible between 35 and 45, midlife, I call it, right? If you don't take care of your crap in the face, right in the face, then all of a sudden everything falls apart. And this is when people go, obviously I'm stuck in a loop. So we all get a chance midlife to clean up and then do the work and then step into the life you were born to be, or step into the life that you desired. So masculine women, nobody wants to be alone at 50 with no children, 60, right? That's not unnatural. But in the beginning, that was the way out, right? So there's do your work. And what is it how do you want to finish this game of life? It's in your hands. And understand, without fixing your trouble or your trauma, you in a danger zone. And if you don't get that done, everything that you want may evade you. And often women say, I guess that wasn't meant for me. I go, no, you have to do the work. Nobody was born to be miserable. Nobody was born to be miserable, right? But our childhood and the decision we made about ourselves often will get us stuck and miserable. It's fixable, is what I'm saying. So I'm trying to bring hope here. This is actually really easy. It's rather easy to fix if you know how to do it, obviously. But it just takes effort. It takes a little investment. It takes leaning in. It takes discomfort. It takes courage. Yeah, but I always said, what else do you have to do all day? You want to be miserable the rest of your life? No, but then lean in, right? It's worth the money. It's worth the investment. It's worth it's worth your life and the people who you're going to affect when you're in the better life, right? That affects the world around you. It's important. Sorry.
Is one thing I do know, which is that there are countless people stuck in relationships that they're unhappy with. There are countless people who are dating and cannot seem to figure out why they're attracting a specific type of a person. And at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is just bring knowledge to their mind so that they can better understand themselves, so that they could potentially attract a partner that is more suited for them. And this is not an easy line of work to work in, because every single word uttered out of one's mouth is evaluated, especially in the politically correct climate that we live in. Right. Unless we are perfect with everything we're saying, we are misunderstood. And I think that is such is the irony of life. Even as human beings, when we are not relationship coaches, every single word that comes out of our mind, out of our mouth, is judged. So thank you for being on the show. This was a great conversation. And I think countless people are going to listen to this and think a lot of things about themselves that they haven't, and perhaps look at the world a little bit differently.
I hope so. Like I said, my God calling is to bring a different awareness to the culture about men and women and about relationship, men and women, all of it, right? It's not hopeless. what's happening is everything that the culture pushes is actually keeping us apart. The new normal is actually making relationships almost impossible. To reframe that is the right way to do. So it's my God calling to make that a movement, worldwide movement, sooner or later. I call it Oprah Big. That's how the calling shows up. Oprah Big. Okay, all right, cool. That'll take a minute, but part of it is to spread the waves of hope out there. Ladies, it is possible. You have to understand, first understand the three types of men. Do you know what I mean? To avoid the boys, the narcissists. Again, this is 3 weeks it takes to learn that. Beautiful. And all of a sudden, instead of dating like this, I hope he's a good guy. I hope he likes me. You date with, let's find out who he is. And if he's a boy, lose my number, right? But ultimately, as you step back into your body as a woman, this is when you become more feminine. And then that feminine energy, you know this, right? It's magnetic. They radiate, they shine, and feminine energy lifts our spirits as men. So when a woman gets back into her body, releases trauma, learns to embrace her feminine that's been pushed back for years and years, they start glowing. And all of a sudden, men are noticing where they were ignoring them because their energy was backwards, right? They feel like ice, is what men say. They feel like ice. These masculine women feel like ice. Don't want to be around that stuff. Where a feminine woman is like a beam of sunlight, right? And you pull towards it. So men notice, men show up, men have a chance to go, hi. They'll come to you just because you shift your energy back into your essence, feminine essence, which is beautiful, God-given, right? That's better for you. It's better for us. So men show up and other women smile at you and they're lovelier and children smile and dogs come sniffing. Like it's a magnet for everything that you want. And you'll find yourself surrounded by support. Men are heroes at heart. All men, the masculine ones, obviously not the boys. So the more you step into that energy, the more you become a beacon of light that actually soothes the environment you stand in. It'll change your life of the people around you when you adjust your energy. So as a woman, more feminine, watch the world change around you. As a man, step in a little bit, handle your stuff, handle your fears, right? Conquer something, discipline yourself to conquer something. This is how you get self-respect, by the way, and also respected by men and women and culture, society, right? And then that builds your confidence, builds your character. Now you get a guy who's got his stuff together and then wants to take on a wife. And in fact, it's just nature, right? Everything I teach is nature. As a man, step into your manhood appropriately. If you don't have fathers or role models, find some. There's mentors everywhere. There's a lot of men's work out there for that purpose. But if you don't get a hold of yourself, you're going to feel weak your whole life, and you're going to find women pushing you away in the friend zone constantly. That's not fun. Masculine women, same thing. They feel abandoned and neglected and invisible. So it's all a matter of, if you understand the gig, right, how it all works, or how we got to be here, step in. Let's fix it. It's your life.
Thank you so much, Andre. I hope we talk soon again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for helping me spread the waves, because I'm spreading hope here. It is fixable. It is doable in a modern way. There's a modern way to do relationships that work along that thing.
Thank you for being on the show. Do you have any final words for our audience?
Well, actually, I have a gift for the listeners. I have two gifts depending on the listeners. So I do a lot of podcasting for that reason. I do 2-3 a week because I'm trying to spread the waves of hope out there. For men and women, this is a way to do this. I do it with my clients. It is possible to dismantle the confusion and the pain. But I notice when I do podcasts, there seems to be two types of listeners, which is interesting. So I have two different gifts depending of how the listener will identify themselves. So the listeners, number one, typically they're dabbling. They're looking for information. They're poking around. So if you're a poker, I want to send you directly to my email. If you email me at Andre, Andre, the word coaching, CHOCHING, the number 1 at Gmail, Andre coaching 1 at Gmail. It goes directly to my box. And then the subject matter, my gift is for information seekers, just put workshop. And what I did, that's for the ladies more. What I did is create a 25-minute workshop that helps women understand, get this, some of what we talked about is to be in the modern world, women expected to be both in the money lane and the love lane, right? And what we discover is you can't be in both lanes at the same time. It doesn't work. Nobody could do it. So if you step in the money lane, the relationship lane falls apart often, or it's very difficult. If you step into the relationship lane, you make less money. Okay. But in the world where women want to have it all, or they're told they should have it all, there's a way to do it that's counterintuitive. So that workshop is about this. It breaks down a little bit. If you want both, there's a way to do it, but it's not what's in the culture. It's not how they do it in the culture. It's backwards and it doesn't work. So that's one. And also you get to understand who I am, where I'm coming from, and the material that I teach. And so it's information, but it's pretty awesome. So work on the coaching one workshop. Other people who I think you did too, like the stuff resonates. It resonates like, oh, so if with you and you find yourself stuck in a loop and you're courageous, Andre Coaching 1 at Gmail, and in the box, in the subject box, write talk now. And what I'll do is I'll send you a calendar link to my calendar, find a space that's open that works for you. And we'll have, like you and I are having right now, a one-on-one conversation, an hour and 15 or so. And it's personal, takes courage, but this is who I am. I'm here to help. You know what I mean? So you're safe, but I promise you what we'll do, 15 minutes. We go right back to childhood and we find out 15 minutes. I do this every day, where the wheels came off. So it explains if you're stuck in your masculine as a woman, how that happened. It explains if you're a feminine man and you're struggling with finding your way. Oh, so it comes out of that conversation. You realize there's nothing wrong with you, because that's usually where they come at me like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with you. It's your result of your circumstances, not your fault, right? So now we know there's nothing wrong with you and we can fix it. What's the dream? What's the dream? Marriage, couple, long-term relationship, whatever it is. And then we'll talk about different ways you could have 5 different programs, small, medium, large. But even people who don't end up working with me, just that call is liberating often, just because they understand what happened and it explains everything. So those are my 2 gifts. Thank you. And you have all the links, the rest of it. My website is projectequinox.net, and I'm on all the platforms under my name or Project Equinox. So my favorite thing is, by the way, you could have both gifts if you want. And I'd encourage people to, as you email me directly, ask me questions, tell me your troubles, tell me I'm full of crap, like challenge me because I can back it up, right? So please, this is the mission for me. So thank you, my man, Mark. Thank you for helping me spread the word. That's my God mission, to change the cultural belief out there that makes all of this too difficult. I appreciate you.
Thank you for being in the show.